Hi everyone, my name is Eva. I'm an executive wellness consultant. Today on the agenda, we'll be talking about one particular herb from this illustrated encyclopedia of healing remedies. And then we'll be talking about two stories in the illustrated story by story Bible that I always have for you because it has really beautiful paintings. And we are bandwagoning on from yesterday. I did promise you those two stories yesterday, but the video would have been too long. And then we're going to end by praying for world peace using the rosary. So first off, we will be using this encyclopedia of healing remedies. And the herb that I'll be talking to you about is called aspen, and this is what it looks like. And pretty much looks like a regular leaf. And it says here, aspen is a slender, silver-barked, deciduous tree. It grows to 30 feet. It's almost circular leaves, trembling in the slightest breeze. That's what it says. Then the properties are calming and gives courage. And its uses is suitable for easing the fears and nightmares of children where they cannot describe what they are frightened of. The other bullet says, this remedy brings assurance that there is nothing to fear. It helps us to face the unknown with courage and trust. This reminds me a lot about what God wants us to feel at all times, which is the vibration of trust and courage and faith in Him when we sense this. But this adds a little extra layer if needed. It says notes and dosages. Aspen is a type of popular with gray-green leaves that flutter in the breeze. It also has cottony catnikins. And it says prepare the flower essence using the boiling method on page 57. And normally that goes like this. You will need to boil the leaf in boiling water for 30 minutes. Then you take it off the fire and then drink it as is, like tea. So that's the herb that I wanted to share with you today. Now we have the two stories that I wanted to talk to you about. They're found in Mark 7:24 through 37. And this is Jesus in Tyre. That's Tyre. And in Tyre in Sidon. Sidon. Let me just look up the exact pronunciation of this because I don't know how to pronounce this exactly. I want to make sure that I am pronouncing it correctly.
Sidon.
I guess it's pronounced Sidon. Apparently it says it's a city in Lebanon. So Jesus in Tyre. Let me see if this is the right pronunciation.
Tyre.
Tyre, I got it right.
Sidon.
Sidon. Okay. Let me show you what it has here as far as graphics so that you have an idea on what I'm looking at. And it is appealing to the eye, so you can kind of get an idea of what I'm looking at exactly. shows a roadmap too. I don't know exactly what this is, as I'm seeing this for the first time, but it says here Roman remains. Let's see, I don't know how to pronounce that, sorry. The Phoenician city of Tyre had almost been destroyed by the Assyrians in the 6th century. In 64 BC, it came under the rule of the Romans, who built this triumphal arc and colonnaded street. And this is what it looks like right there. And then we have another image here. Jesus in Tyre. During his visit to Tyre on the Phoenician coast, Jesus was asked by a local woman to heal her daughter, as shown in the illustration from the illuminated manuscript Quedas de Pedris, 1476. And this is the woman here. This is the woman, and then like that's Jesus right there. Yeah, that's Jesus right there, and that's the woman pleading him to help her with her daughter. About this story, I'll tell you something that's a coincidence, but we'll get into it as we get closer, because I don't want to confuse anybody right now. That was my phone that I just dropped, so if we need it, I'll have to get it in a little bit. I'm just making myself a note about about this story. Okay, so here we go. This might be a little bit long, but if you hang in there, you'll appreciate the story. In successive miracles performed away from Galilee in visits to Gentile regions, Jesus healed a little girl in the grip of an impure spirit, and a man who could neither hear nor speak. Jesus had been healing the sick in Gennesaret on the western shore of the Sea of Galilee. That's a place near the Sea of Galilee, a Jewish area. He then headed to the Gentile town of Tyre on the Phoenician coast, where he healed a possessed girl. From there, he traveled about 50 miles southeast back through Galilee, across the Sea of Galilee, to the Decapolis, a group of 10 Greco-Roman cities that were in Gentile territory. There, he restored the ability to hear and speak to a man who could do neither. These two miracles involved different kinds of healing, one spiritual and the other physical, but had something in common. They were granted to the Gentiles, people who were outside the covenant with Israel. So they were outside the promise of so he was healing everyone, apparently. Even people that were outside the covenant or the promise in Israel. Hard words. That's how the next paragraph starts. The first healing took place in Tyre. A Greek woman born in Syrian Phoenicia had a daughter who was in the power of an evil or an impure spirit. The mother came to Jesus and fell at his feet, pleading for him to drive a demon out of her daughter. He answered, "First, let the children eat all they want," he told her, "for it is not right to take children's bread and toss it to the dogs." That's found in Mark 7:27. Despite this puzzling response, the woman persisted. "Lord," she replied, "even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs." That's found in Mark 7:28. Jesus was impressed by her answer and told the woman that he had healed her daughter. Quote, "For such a reply, you may go. The demon has left your daughter." That's found in Mark 7:29. The mother returned to her home and found the girl well. Quote, "and the demon gone." That's Mark 7:30. The awkward conversation revealed the intersection of two biblical themes: the priority of Israel in God's plan and the place of stubborn faith in that plan. Israel was unique, the heir to the blessings of God and the God's appointed channel of blessings on all the nations of the earth, the people of Tyre included. Ultimately, God's blessings would flow out through Israel to all the world. Genesis 12:2-3. But Israel would be first. Alongside the priority of Israel, however, was the value God set on faith. The woman with the demon-possessed little girl was determined in her desire for Jesus' blessing. This mirrors one of the most striking faith stories in the Old Testament. Ruth, a destitute Gentile widow, overcame hard times and remained loyal to her family and God, for which God rewarded her. So here, this is a story that reinforces that what I've experienced. I've tried my best to impress God, and I think that was the only way that I got through to him. And in the last 3 years, I know that I've been able to connect through him, through other people who are of the Christian faith, mostly Christians. For some reason, I feel like they're more connected because they read the stories of the Bible. But I haven't met enough Catholics, so I can't say that for sure that they're not just as equally connected. But it's so interesting that Christians, whenever we talk to them, they know the stories of the Bible really well. And I always end up having really nice conversations with them because they love teaching and sharing stories from the Bible. But here it says, Jesus was impressed by her answer and told the woman that he had healed her daughter. And because she persisted and she was determined to have her daughter healed, and it meant a lot to her, even though he said no to her at the very first time that she requested. And she waited, and then she saw children eating bread, and then even the dogs were able to eat the children's crumbs, and even the dogs were fed in that area. And then she pleaded again, and she said, God, please help my daughter. And then finally he said, okay, I've healed her. And so he somehow healed her from afar. But so what's striking is that you need to keep the faith. That is the message. And I've already told this story before, but I will tell it again. I had a dream while I was in my parents' home, and I fell asleep, and my mom has a shrine of the Virgin Mary and Jesus and Joseph and Archangel Michael. And for some reason that day, the sun was hitting the robe of Mary. It was the Virgin Mary, the miraculous Virgin. I actually have it here. Let me show it to you. Oops. So it was this one. The miraculous Virgin Mary. This is her right here. And the sun had hit her robe in a certain way that when I dozed off, I knew it was a message from her, because that was the last thing I saw when I fell asleep. And then I drop into this deep sleep where I feel like I'm somewhere near the ocean, and I see these walls and these stairs going up, and there's a window at the very top of the stairs, and it's still curving upward. And the walls of the place that I was at was the same color of Mary's robe. And as you can see here, it's kind of hard to tell that when the sun hits it a certain way, it was like a minty green or a sage green, but or maybe even an aqua green. I don't know for sure what color green, because it was such a long time ago now. It was a couple years back in the summer that I had this dream. And so that stayed with me. I think it was a minty green, or it could have been a sage green. And so I wake up from this dream and I feel relaxed. There's this breeze that comes in as I'm looking up, and the window is open, and it feels very light. And I didn't understand what her message was. And then I went to church the next day, and I was standing in front of her at church, and the sermon for that day was about faith. And it was this particular story, I believe, where this woman goes into the city and cries for help, and she knows that Jesus is in town, and he tells her to calm down, that he's going, and to have faith, and that he's going to save his daughter. And so this is what this story reminds me about. And when I heard the sermon during at church, then it kind of clicked, and then I felt like it's about faith is what I thought the message was about in my dream. That was in August, and in September came around. I joined a gym, and there was a girl standing behind the counter who was working at the gym that I was a member at. And to me, I thought she looked like a model, and she just worked there part-time. And then I walk up the stairs, and I see another girl that looks similar to her on a treadmill. And then I thought, oh, maybe they're sisters, because they look so similar. So I go into the bathroom, and the girl from the treadmill gets off, and we end up talking in front of the sinks. And I asked her if she was related to the girl downstairs, and she said, yes, that's my twin sister. And we had a really nice conversation. And at the end of the conversation, I asked her, what is your name? And she said, my name is Faith. my jaw dropped. And then I asked her, "What's your sister's name?" And she said, my twin sister's name is Hope." And later on, as we talked and we, we became friends, at the gym, I find out that her third sister, which is older, her name is Grace. So they're sisters. They're all sisters, and it's Grace, Hope, and Faith, in that order. And so I wanted to share that because I thought it was really cute, where to me, I felt like God was talking to me through messages from my surroundings, and so that he knows that, so that he can give me faith through signs within this world. And it was a coincidence. I guess there are no coincidences. The more that I talk to people, they say that it is really synchronicities that are happening, and that there are no coincidences. And I'm still learning about that because all of that is still new to me. I feel like 10 years ago or 11 years ago, I would go through the motions every day and really didn't see outside what was in the 3D. And 2015 and after that, I started to sense things a lot more in the 5D. I would say, like, I just felt like there was this complete shift, and I knew things would be different from that time. And I would pay attention to more things during the day, and in my dreams. And ever since then, I feel like I've been more connected, and I also got into doing a little bit more yoga during that time too, since that time. But I've been able to build more self-awareness. But it's just a cute story that I like sharing. Okay, so the second part of the story, I guess we can finish it off. A second miracle, traveling outside the area under the authority. Let me just hold it up so it doesn't look like I'm reading and looking down. Traveling outside the area under the authority of Herod Antipas, Jesus moved from Tyre to Sidon. Is it Sidon? Oh goodness, let me grab my phone.
Sidon.
Sidon. Tyre to Sidon, further up the coast. He then headed out southeast to the Decapolis, east of the Jordan River. Then was also Gentile country. Here people brought to Jesus a man who was deaf and could hardly talk. That's found in Mark 7:32. And asked him to help. Jesus took the man to one side, away from the crowd. He placed his fingers in the man's ears and then spat saliva onto his fingers of his other hand and touched the man's tongue. Jesus looked up to heaven, sighed deeply, and said to the man, Aphifatha. That's found in Mark 7:34. Aramaic for be opened. At this, the man's ears were opened. His tongue was loosed, and he began to speak plainly. That's 7:35. The scene concluded with Jesus admonishing the formerly deaf and mute man. I'm sorry, I had to cough. And those who had witnessed the miracle, not to tell anyone about what had happened. Scholars had debated why Jesus did this. Some believe he did not wish to become famous as a miracle man. So that's where it ends. And then we'll move on to the next story. Jesus walks on water. And this is found in Matthew 14, 22 to 33. Also Mark 6, 45 to 52. And John 6, 16 to 21. This is a beautiful image that was really talking to me as I was doing research for you guys yesterday. Kind of trying to pick a fun story. And I've seen this before, coincidentally, because I was watching The Chosen One, just a small clip about Jesus reaching down to help Peter as he was sinking. I guess a foot or just like a foot or less under the water. And I actually had a dream about that, something similar in the last 6 months, where I saved somebody from the water that was sinking. I'll tell you the whole story because it's kind of fun. I mean, I say fun because it's such a coincidence. I was at a party in my dream. I'll tell you the story about my dream, but it has everything to do with this and the clip that I found about the chosen one, who there's a scene where he reaches down to help Peter. And in my dream, I'll say, I was at a party with a former partner of mine, and he jumps on my back, and we are at a place where there's huge cliffs and the water is right next to it and the ocean. And as he jumps on my back, I shake him off because I didn't want him on me because I knew he was trying to get me into trouble. And as I did that, as I shook him off, because I was so mad that he was kind of rough tumbling with me. He sometimes did that because we did that for fun because we did that for fun because it's just silly. It's something that we did sometimes, kind of like roughhousing a little bit. And I shook him off and he falls off the cliff, and somehow I'm hanging on by the very side of the cliff with my fingers, and I know that I'm hanging on with my right arm. And as I'm hanging on, this rope with a loop, a blue one with a blue rope loop, shows up from like the side of the cliff. So I grabbed the rope and I shook him off because I was like, what is he doing? I know I'm athletic. I can save myself. I grab onto the rope that all of a sudden appears. And at the same time as it appears, I think, oh my gosh, he has just fallen off. I don't know if he's fine. And I look down and it's 50-foot drop into the water with rocks in the ocean. And I don't see him. It was 1 or 2 seconds or 3 seconds. And I don't even think about it, and I let go because I was a lifeguard for 4 years, and I think I know how to do CPR. And so I let go to save him. And when I let go, I'm in the water. Next thing I know, I'm in the water, and I see red bubbles mixed with blue in front of me, about maybe 5 feet or 4 feet in front of me. And as I look further down, I see a hand reaching up, and I think it's him. And so when I look down, there's like a red blurriness on the water, and I don't know if that's blood, but I still reach down to get him. I reach down, I pull him up, and I put him on my back. And then the next scene that I see in my dream, we're both on it feels like we're at a hospital, and he's sitting in front of me on a bed, and I'm on the opposite side, and I'm sitting on the bed kind of facing him, and trying to think if it makes sense to kind of share the rest. I don't think that I need to share the rest because I don't know that I want to share the rest, honestly. The whole point is I saved him. And I feel like that was like an ongoing theme between me and him, me having to kind of constantly get him out of things where he just did things without kind of thinking the result, all possible things that could happen. But I feel like that's like an ongoing theme in my life, having to save people. And I don't mind if it is very time consuming and it does a lot to the brain. And that's why I love sleeping. It actually saved me a while back, and I was able to, actually Oprah had a expert on maybe 20 or 25 years ago where I learned this, and it worked for me. During that winter of 2015, I slept maybe 3 or 4 times for like 16 hours during the winter, and that was the hardest winter ever. You will know in this area, it snowed the heaviest ever that we've seen, and I had a huge driveway that I had to clean myself, because my other half, he was working many hours during the week, and I would just be out there 3 hours cleaning our driveway. But I feel like sleeping is very important because it is a chance for your brain to restore, your body to restore, and I don't know, I can only tell you that it rejuvenated me, and it was, I think, 3 or 4 times that I did that during that winter, and it was a time that I had 2 jobs, and I was on my own kind of cleaning that winter, all the snow, and then just having to worry about him driving and sliding around in his car, and so yes, so that's just a small story that I wanted to share with you. I'll continue on with this fun story because it does have to do with this. If you do get a chance to watch The Chosen One, I would recommend watching that small clip where Jesus walks on the water and saves Peter from drowning. Okay, so this is Jesus walks on water, and I've already given you the verses of where you'll be able to find this. And I'm sorry, some of this story I will kind of chuckle a little because the whole point of the story is to keep the faith, and God, this is the same theme that he chuckles, or he's surprised that we don't have the faith, and we should keep the faith. It says, Jesus walks on water. This was not Jesus's first contest with the stormy sea. He had already won over the wind and the waves within the command, quiet, be still. Mark 4:39. I'll show you the 2 images. So this is talking about, I was able to find the image, and I had already told you this story when I was in the seaport. I've already made a video about this, but I'll share this image. This is Jesus calms the storm. And the description of this painting is calming the storm. Matthew described the dramatic moment when the storm broke. Suddenly, a furious storm came up on the lake. So the waves swept over the boat, but Jesus was sleeping. That's found in Matthew 8:24. And this is the image here. And that is Jesus up here sleeping while everybody else is, all the disciples are terrified with the storm. Let's see. He tells the storm to be quiet in that painting. Okay, so it says, after the 5,000 had finished eating, Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him across to the other side of the Sea of Galilee. Matthew 14:22. While he dismissed the crowd, Mark 6:45, they set off toward Capernaum, John 6:17. But this time, unlike the earlier boat journeys across the water, Jesus did not accompany them. Instead, he went up on the mountainside by himself to pray. Matthew 14:23. Walking on the water, the disciples' sea journey became increasingly arduous as the wind escalated from the opposite shore. While Jesus was praying on land alone, the disciples were rowing hard against the wind, straining at the oars. Mark 6:48. As they tried to make a headway through the night, just before sunrise, Jesus saw them struggling and went out to them, walking on the surface of the lake. And as you know, this is the Sea of Galilee where they are. All the disciples saw him and were terrified, thinking they were seeing a ghost. I'll read you the quote on the side. It says, quote, when the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. It's a ghost, they said, and cried out in fear. Matthew 14:26. As they tried to make headway through the night, just before sunrise, Jesus saw them struggling. I think I have already read this to you, didn't I? It makes me think of the Princess Bride's, the grandfather in the movie every time that I repeat this part, because the grandson gets impatient with him. Where did I leave off? I'll just read it again. All the disciples saw and were terrified, thinking that they were seeing a ghost. But Jesus responded quickly to their cries and calling across, "Take courage! It is I. Don't be afraid." This is why it's so funny, because the same theme he explains. And when we all cross over, when Jesus appears to you, possibly whatever fate you shall have, that God chooses for you, depending on your behavior here on earth. So choose wisely. He gives you free will as far as what you choose to do here, but know that his eyes are on you always. So whenever you cross over, if you are lucky to see him, he will smile at you. I mean, I've received confirmation in watching NDEs or near-death experiences, and through things of finding things of God, like this book here, when God thinks of you, he smiles. So know that we need to keep faith, like the faith, and no matter what circumstance that we're in, we do not need to despair or be frightened. And so that is his message. Take courage, it is I. And these are a whole bunch of men on a boat that should have courage. And when you don't have courage, you pray. But keeping the faith is important. This is found in Matthew 14:27. Jesus defeats chaos. The disciples misunderstood what they were seeing. For as Mark wrote, quote, their hearts were hardened, quote, Mark 6:52. Jesus was demonstrating who he really was, Lord over the sea. The story places the disciples' failure to believe, their eyes and their lack of faith alongside Jesus' triumph. The scale of Jesus' accomplishment here is easily lost on the modern readers, who are likely to think of the sea as no more than a geographical feature. In the Old Testament, the sea is a symbol of chaos and crisis. I have come into the deep waters, wrote David. The floods engulf me, Psalm 69:2. In this story, during a storm that had raged all night, Jesus easily walked across the wind-tossed sea. This was not a fear carried out before crowds, such as the 5,000 Jesus had recently fed. It was a demonstration of victory to the disciples alone, who are said in Mark to have been completely amazed, for they had not understood about the loaves. It recalls the Old Testament notion that God alone treads on the waves of the sea and his footprints. That's found in Job 9:8. Footprints were not seen on the path throughout the mighty waters. Psalm 77:19. Chaos and crisis were literally and spiritually under Jesus' feet and did not disturb him. So that's what we need to do, is be not disturbed under chaos and crisis. We must stay calm, because it's important for our nervous system, because you're able to use your logic and be more logical about what to do next. So it's important not to lose your senses or stay logical under chaos and crisis. A test of faith. As Jesus stepped onto the boat, the wind died down. And in Mark and John, this is the end of the story. Immediately, quote, immediately the boat reached the shore where they were heading, John 6:21. In Matthew, however, the story continues, pinpointing the nature of belief and its true role in this narrative. And in answer to Jesus' assurance, Peter said, "Lord, if it's you, tell me to come to you." On the water. That's Matthew 14:28. I'll show you the picture of the painting here, and then I'll read you the description so you can see what's going on. This is Jesus here. This is Peter here, almost sinking on the water. And then these are the rest of the disciples. That's the painting. And I'll read you the description. It says, a test of faith. Peter alone of the disciples had sufficient faith to step onto the water, but faltered as he became aware of the wind, and he held safe by Jesus, as shown in Philip Otto Rung's Peter Walks on Water, 1806. That was painted in 1806. It says, Jesus simply replied, "Come." Bravely, Peter stepped over the side of the boat, walked on the water, and came towards Jesus. Matthew 14:29. And then Peter noticed the wind became afraid and began to sink. He cried out, "Lord, save me." That's Matthew 14:30. Immediately, Jesus reached out and caught Peter by the hand. "You of little faith," he said, "why did you doubt?" And this is what I'm talking about. We should not doubt him. That's found in Matthew 14:30. Jesus and the Sidon Peter climbed into the boat. As they did so, the wind died down. Then the disciples realized what had taken place. Those who were in the boat whispered him 14:33, and declared that Jesus really was the Son of God. The boat had begun as a means of mission, a way of delivering Jesus's message about the kingdom of God, and had become a place of worship. And so I think I'll stop there and continue by praying on a separate video. But I want to take a quick break, and I want to thank you for watching. And I appreciate your presence. Have a great day.